So if you say that I'm blackmailing you or threatening you one more time, when I'm literally expending a lot of my energy to try and not ruin your 7-year-old's life, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
Yeah, it sounds really bad.
And he said, I could have made that joke with anyone who didn't have trauma.
That's a thing to do, but that's it, okay? That's it.
He didn't respect women, and he didn't respect my coming out as non-binary.
She is saying openly, I said I gave him an ultimatum, which sounds like blackmail, you know? However, when he assaulted me, I formed a trauma bond with him. That's very suspicious. So she's now saying she's not going to release anything because it's her personal life being put out on display. What? Where's he admitted to SA? Where? Where? Why would you not be sharing a clip showing this other stuff you're talking about? Why are you not pushing back on this clip, which sounds really bad for you? We have got this here come up. So, a man's life hangs in the balance, I guess. I don't know if it's a man or a woman yet. I've not even looked at it. We've now got a Valorant situation at hand. Join me as we see, did someone rape or not, in yet another rape review. Okay, so we are dealing with a Valorant alert situation. Okay, so we've got Tanner Metro, who I'm not familiar with. I guess we can find them. Okay. I've just typed in Tanner Metro into Google, and this is the top result. Oh boy, that is not looking good. I'm guessing this is him. Tanner Metro. Followed by the guy from Trovo and Richard Lewis. Okay, so he's must have some presence in the community. Why are you saying guilty straight away? We've not even started yet. Okay. Right, so we got Tanner Metro is accused of sexual assault. What? Where's the original allegation? Oh, here we go. Please remember the situation is ongoing and comments should remain civil. Slow mode. For context, Tanner Metro is a Valorant caster and AyoEclipse is a Game Changers player. So I guess this is the original statement.
Hello. I am leaving my streamer mode on while I make this statement. So that some people can see this live maybe. And I am just going to be talking about the complete statement that I did not know was going to come out about me.
Oh wait, she's responding to Tanner Metro. Okay, I'm confused about the timeline here. Let's look at his tweet first. The attached clip is their response to me refusing to be their friend during the breakup. This is quite honestly the first time I've ever felt heavy depression in my life. Some of you may have noticed I haven't been super active in casting. I was released from the broadcast early for GC2 and wasn't part of the team for GC3. I also won't be part of the Challengers 2024, anything Valorant related for that matter. The reason behind all of this is because my ex-partner accused me of sexually assaulting them. I'm not sure how much to divulge in this statement, but I'm going to tell the story and let it be that. Right, so he's coming out with a statement because an allegation has been made and he's getting pulled out of certain broadcasting things. Is that right? I'm guessing that's what's happening. Okay. My partner had come to visit me for their birthday back in May. During one of these nights, we partook in consensual sex. During something that had happened to which my partner at the time reached back, put the hand on me and said, "Ow, that hurt." I immediately stopped what I was doing and apologized, saying something along the lines of, "I'm sorry, baby." They took their hand off my leg and responded, "It's okay." I adjusted my position to make sure I wouldn't do what was hurting them, and we continued to have sex. When the sex finished, I went to get a towel and we cleaned up and spent the rest of the night together, whether that was playing video games or laying in bed. Right. Guys, you're doing the thing. Okay? You're doing the opposite of when people assume it's true. You're assuming it's false. Can we just not assume anything and just relax until we've read through it all? Jesus Christ. How do you know? We've not even finished reading this guy's statement, let alone what she's got to say. How can you know anything about this? Jumping to conclusions is funnier. Okay. Now, we had had a conversation in the past when my partner expressed that if there was any pain, we needed to start over from the beginning. Since that conversation, we had sex where a position caused discomfort, and instead of starting from the beginning, I would adjust my position and make sure that discomfort wasn't repeated. I don't know where to put this in a statement, but there was nothing else said that night during the sex or about the sex. When my partner said that they were hurt, I stopped and apologized, to which they took their hand off my leg and responded, "It's okay." I understood this as, "It's okay, we can keep doing." It was later brought to my knowledge that they meant it's okay, but we need to stop. There was a very clear miscommunication between the two of us, but we talked about it months later when it was brought up and had this exact discussion about the miscommunication. Okay. After all of this, right, so obviously based solely on how he's describing it, it sounds like a bad sexual moment. Okay? That's obvious from this, but let's continue on. After all of this, my ex and I eventually broke up for what I thought was for good, and they gave me this ultimatum. Be their friend through our breakup and give them closure and help them heal. They cut me out of their life and I leave this GC scene as a caster and only work male events, or I stay and they report me to Knights. And give them closure and help them heal. They cut me out of their life and I leave the GC scene as a caster and only work male events, or I stay and they report me to the Knights. This is very confusingly worded. I believe what this person is trying to say is they're claiming that they were given an ultimatum, that they need to either be their friend through the breakup and give them closure and help them heal, or they cut them out of the life and they have to leave their job, essentially, and only work with male events, or he does what he wants, stays, presumably, and they report it to Knights, which I guess is the authorities of this particular sports casting thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's what he's claiming. Okay, guys, just relax. That's what he's claiming happened. We need more info before we come to any conclusions. All right? Everyone relax. To this ultimatum, I chose not to be friends with the person who was threatening my career, which led to them ultimately reporting me to Knights, who sent it to Riot that I sexually assaulted them. There was an investigation, evidence was submitted on both sides, and I received the bad news with "This is why you don't have a relationship where you work." I received wind that Riot will no longer work with me because of the allegation alone. I'm trying to make this as formal as possible. There are some other things I'd like to add, but nothing like this. I'm open to questions and will answer everything truthfully from my side. There are 3 sides to the whole truth: my truth, their truth, and the truth you decide. This is just my side. In writing this statement or coming out with this, I think I'm further burying my esports career, which I'm trying to be at peace with. I just can't go on with people thinking I'm the person that I'm not. I lost my career, my dream, my livelihood over this. I'm picking myself back up, and I lost it all. Is their response to me refusing to be their friend during the breakup?
I'm no longer being friends with the person I was friends with. Now I'm kind of being forced to be friends with the person who's blackmailing me and threatening me, and that's like not something that I want to do.
Okay, so if you say that I'm blackmailing you or threatening you one more time, when I'm literally expending a lot of my energy to try and not ruin your 7-year-old's life, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
I'm no.
Okay, so that sounds bad. Very short clip, though. Presumably this is a fully recorded conversation Why have we not got more? Why have we only got a 25-second clip? Admittedly, it does sound bad. So there's that. Let me just listen to it again. Why is it only 25 seconds? Doesn't make any sense. You've released the whole lot of it, or at least more of it in 25 seconds.
I'm no longer being friends with the person I was friends with. Now I'm kind of being forced to be friends with the person who's blackmailing me and threatening me, and that's like not something that I want to do.
Okay, so if you say that I'm blackmailing you or threatening you one more time, when I'm literally expending a lot of my energy to try and not ruin your 7-year-old's life, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
Yeah, it sounds really fucking bad. But what? My question remains: why have we only got 25 seconds of this?
Not something that I want to do.
Okay, so if you say that I'm blackmailing you or threatening you one more time, when I'm literally expending a lot of my energy to try and not ruin your 7-year-old's life, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
She sounds like a vindictive bitch that is, gonna blackmail him or something. Do you know what I mean? It sounds horrendous. But where's the rest of the convo? Where's the rest of the convo? I want to hear the whole thing, not just a little clip snippet. We need the whole thing. Okay? Anyway, let's see what a response is.
One day after I finished my tournament. The clip that Tanner attached is essentially when we broke up. How do I say this? Tanner sexually assaulted me in May, 2 weeks after my birthday. I'm sorry, 2 days after my birthday, on May 15th. I don't know what changed the person that I started dating in January to this very to a person I didn't recognize anymore when I was staying out there for a week and a half for my birthday. I don't know. None of this is facts. But I want to say that part of it was, sorry, there's flies. Part of it was that Tanner bought a new juvenile dog that was extremely difficult to take care of. He expressed many times that he wanted to, jokingly say that hurt the dog, kick the dog because it was being annoying and not housebroken. These flies are very annoying. But I don't know what caused him to snap. And so I did not expect to see my personal, most embarrassing life details on the internet today. So I am stuttering and I'm very sorry for that. Sexually assaulted me on May 15th. I think it was the inability to see me as a human. I've had previous issues with sex with Tanner, where they are nobody's fault. I have had panic attacks though because Tanner's done something all of a sudden that hurt me. And I previously expressed that if Tanner ever did anything that put me in pain, we would have to stop. And that was a really difficult thing for me to communicate because you can't always you don't know if you have the ability to say no until it happens. And all I ask is that if you're a man to try and at least hear me out. Because I know that the experiences aren't universal. But I said no to sex when I'm in pain. And when Tanner hurt me on May 15th, I was in an extremely vulnerable position as well. And so I believe there's screenshots I'll try and use to say it wasn't sexual assault. But specifically I say that this hurts, like I'm in pain. And he says, I'm sorry. And I say it's okay, forgiving my partner and the person that I think that I can trust. And he doesn't stop. And since we're just talking about all the details, you know, to like, Jesus Christ, these flies. I'm so sorry. This is ruining my goddamn statement. He doesn't stop. And I am not responsive. I have completely dissociated into my own head. He doesn't notice somehow that I'm not responsive. And then he asks to come my boobs. And when I tell you that that made the entire situation so much worse, is that I am dissociating because I am going through a traumatic event in front of the person that we got serious very quickly, so I thought we were going to be long term.
Okay, so straight away, presuming there's not further statements here, you disassociated, okay, which I believe is when your eyes... I think it's when your eyes go a bit blurry, isn't it? Your eyes go blurry and you're just kind of there like that. It sounds like you didn't notice. You're mentally checking out, right? It's when your eyes glaze over. Wait, that's okay. Stop laughing. Stop fucking around. But he didn't notice, and we're supposed to like condemn him on the level that he's committed a sexual assault for that. God, I don't know, man. We'll see what she says. Maybe there's more, but this does not sound like sexual assault to me. Let's continue, though.
I never recovered. I didn't know how to fix this. So this obviously happened in May, and Tanner didn't leave casting until I believe July. I'm gonna pull up dates really quick.
Okay, let me just...
Is that I am dissociating. I've completely dissociated into my... And to like, Jesus Christ, these flies. I'm so sorry. This is ruining my goddamn statement. He doesn't stop. And I am not responsive. I have completely dissociated into my own head. He doesn't notice somehow that I'm not responsive. And then he asks to come my boobs. And when I tell you that that made the entire situation so much worse, is that I am dissociating because I am going through a traumatic event in front of the person that we got serious very quickly, so I thought we were going to be long term. I never recovered. I didn't know how to fix this. So this obviously happened in May, and Tanner didn't leave casting until I believe July. I'm gonna pull up dates really quick. Bear with me on Discord so that I can make sure that I'm saying the correct timeline.
So the way she is describing it in her own words. Thank you for the super chat.
Plus she continued the fling after she was hurt that night.
This does not sound like sexual assault. This sounds like a bad sexual experience or something like that. But the fact that apparently he didn't notice you disassociating and then asked if he could do a further sexual act would indicate to me that he's not consciously doing something bad to you. That's kind of my rough interpretation that I've got so far of this, but we'll continue on and see what else there is.
July. Specifically about mid-July. Or we'll say we broke up early July and then things started rolling mid-July. We broke up on and off a couple times. We had a lot of issues of me holding Tanner accountable for actions. To briefly mention some of them, because no matter how many times I brought them up to him, they would always get pushed back and never accounted for. And it was always I was the villain for having issues with these things. But to give context as to why it took me 2 months to report him, we had a previous situation where we were showering.
Thank you for the $5.
Together.
DK speaking
And I
facts
said,
in the chat.
No matter what happens in our relationship, I will never do anal. That is my one thing I have no
Oh, here
interest
we
in
go.
trying. And I had previously communicated this. Okay.
Oh, no.
We had talked about it. You know, culture is different. Everybody's into different things. I talk about a lot of things on stream. I didn't want to give the wrong context. And I said, let's never do this. Is that okay? And he said yes, previously. And all of a sudden, we're showering. And it's the second time I've ever met him. And he starts joking that he wants to do anal in the shower. And like repeatedly begging and let's do it. It's like just very oppressive, repetitive words. And I'm scared. I know that I put on a very good face, especially the last 3 months on stream.
So he's kind of sounds pushy. He's like pushing for sex acts that you don't want to engage in. I guess we'll just hear her out and see what she says further from this.
But I cannot physically win against an ex-Marine as much as I would like to pretend that I could.
What? So she thought that if she stated her boundaries that she would get like fully raped. So obviously it's very bad to like push for a sex act if it's been previously discussed and it is a clear, explicit no. Unfortunately, you know, that doesn't discount that in the moment, someone in a moment of, you know, what's the medical word for it? People can ask for sex acts that have previously been outlawed because in the moment they've got a very sexualized feeling towards that. And it sounds like, from the sounds of it, he was being pushy, which is bad, but you also have to be able to state your boundaries to say, no, I'm not going to do that. We've already spoken about it, etc., right? You know, sounds like he's been pushy, but you also need to be able to state no. But maybe there's more. We'll see. Let's listen.
So we have that situation in the shower. Nothing transpires. It's just terrifying. I just get out of the shower, and that's my solution to remove.
Enough. Okay. Okay. Well, you know, she's trying to present this image, you know, this explanation of him being pushy, which I can believe possibly happened. Obviously, I don't know for sure, but it's possible that he was pushy in the shower. But she claims that she was like fearful, presumably of him forcing her to do things against her will. But she got out of the shower, nothing happened from there. Again, there's more story to hear. But this doesn't come across as something you would describe as a sexual assault. You know, and my concern is already, we're only 7 minutes in, there's an overstatement of what happened to bring it to that level, rather than contend, you know, with what is perhaps a reasonable criticism of what occurred. But let's continue on, nonetheless.
The environment. I bring it up a little bit later. It does take me a delayed amount of time to deal with problems. My friends know this. If you've ever had an issue with me, I just want space to think, sort my thoughts out, and come back with a solution. So it took me a little bit, I think about 2 weeks, to have a conversation with him. And I said, hey, this was really terrible. Can we just make sure to never repeat this experience again? Like, let's never joke about things that are off boundaries in sex when we are naked and vulnerable in the shower.
Right.
And he said, I could have made that joke with anyone who didn't have trauma. So there's a lot of things that the internet doesn't know. One of the things the internet does know.
Scrotum. Yes, I do read kick chat. Hello. You're being too misogynistic at the moment now, though.
Was that my boyfriend died before Tanner. 2 years, approximately, with the start of COVID.
So that is obviously an insensitive thing to say. But like, I don't think it makes him some sort of rapist or sexual assaulter for him to make an off-color shitty joke towards you. And the fact that now you're bringing it up as part of this claim of sexual assault kind of demonstrates the point that was being made, I think. He sounds like a dickhead, yeah. Like, he sounds like he's a dickhead. And again, if there's more, we'll listen and see. But so far, I'm a bit underwhelmed by what's being stated here. You know, this strikes me more as interpersonal issues to deal with rather than, well, let's go make a sexual assault allegation, you know, against this guy. But we'll continue on.
There's other things that you don't know about me. And so you can infer them from Tanner's words. But essentially, when I'm trying to set my boundary with my partner, he is throwing my trauma in my face, saying that I would have been okay with this joke if I wasn't traumatized and broken.
Okay, that's a shitty thing to do, but that's it, okay? That's it. That's the length of it. Yeah, it's a shitty thing for a guy to do. Why is this public knowledge? Why is this public information that needs to be fucking consumed like this? Like, I appreciate that she's responding to what he said, right? But then her actions have got him in, you know, this trouble, presumably with the caster people, as he's laid out, you know. And seems so far, I hope I'm not doing a pause Andy here. It seems so far like this guy has been treated unreasonably and he's trying to, you know, contend with that. Do you see what I mean? So it's probably more reasonable to criticize him for bringing it to the public eye in the first place. But she has taken action which has led to this guy, you know, losing his professional situation. You know, like if you're like, it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's like you're a public figure, and she's not gone public with it, but she's gone to an organization which has then had an impact on your work when you're a public figure. Like, what, you know, it's like almost a way of getting around that, coming out with it publicly. And now this organization has taken action purely off the allegation, and he's there, people asking questions about what he's up to and what's going on, presumably. And another important part of this is, if this is bringing about this level of kind of consequence, has there been some sort of police report filed or something like that? You know, is there an investigation with the police? Because, you know, this is serious stuff that someone is having, like, opportunities taken away to this level. Let's continue anyway.
Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but hindsight is a bitch. I should have seen that my verbal boundary for sex was not respected. Sorry, my friends are sending me links as I speak. My boundary wasn't respected verbally. And then my boundary, when I tried to clarify, my trauma was thrown in my face, and it was somehow made to be my fault that I was not comfortable in that situation. So I don't know how many of you are in here. Hopefully more than one. But I'll post this to YouTube afterwards. I'm just gonna go through Tanner's statement and acknowledge the video clip. I actually have the entirety of that conversation recorded as well. So I will be including 4 more context in the 55 seconds that he included. I do not sound good in that clip. What is happening, I believe, is we are breaking up for the 3rd time or so. And it is a final breakup. Tanner says that he wants me to leave him alone. And he wants
okay. So it was like an on-off relationship as well. Let's keep going. Like, I don't know, man. This is falling apart at the seams.
He wanted a normal breakup. That made me realize that I wasn't seen as a human being. This was not a normal breakup because there's sexual assault included. I spent 2 months trying to work through it and trying to heal while also being in a relationship with the person who did it to me, which is hindsight batshit crazy. But this has never happened to me before. I've also never been in a public online relationship before, and I won't make that mistake again. I gave Tanner the option when we were breaking up, for whatever reason. I'll have to go through screenshots to find out what we were breaking up about. I gave him the option to give me closure as friends. I said that I don't need to report you. I don't need to remove you from the GC scene because I can't stand to see your face every day. It will give me panic attacks, and I won't be able to compete anymore. And in all honesty, this might be the end of my competing anyways. I just hope that I don't look like somebody who lied about being sexually assaulted. That is the only purpose of me making this statement here. I don't care the fallout. I don't care. I just do not want to add to the problem of women not being believed when they're sexually assaulted. God, I'm forgetting my train of thought. Oh, we broke up for whatever reason. And I said, we are breaking up because I'm nagging you about the sexual assault. And my boundaries and the trauma joke and everything else and a million other tiny stories.
Yeah, exactly. I don't, she's not. What transpired likely transpired, right? I think we can probably agree, the shower thing happened, the conversation happened, they were having sex and she disassociated and that happened. I think the facts of the matter are probably more or less where they ought to be. But it's her interpretation of it that I think is twisted up, because the way she's described it doesn't sound at all like what you would think of as sexual assault. But yet this has been stated to the authorities of this sports casting organization, whatever it is, and they've taken it seriously enough to fire the guy. And it was like it's on-off relationship as well. This seems so much more like a messy relationship with bad communication, and he was a shitty dude that made shitty comments about a trauma and stuff. But this claim of sexual assault is embellished and overstated as far as I can see so far.
That I should have left for any of these reasons alone. My friends begged me, my parents begged me, and I kept quiet about it when it started getting worse because I got tired of hearing that the person that I loved was not treating me decently. So when we broke up, I realized everything they said was true and that I put up for the last 2 months with somebody who would never fix what they did. They couldn't even admit they did anything wrong, so they couldn't fix it in the first place. You can't, if you don't think that you sexually assaulted somebody, you can't fix that hurt. So he accused me of blackmailing him. I said, your options are, 1, you can either deal with me for however long and sit in a call and talk through the timeline with me so I can understand why I need to hate you now and not be in love with you anymore.
Jesus
2,
Christ.
I can report you privately to Knights and keep it off, public Twitter. My friends are figuring out as we speak. I have good friends.
This is nuts.
Or we can keep it off public Twitter and avoid you losing your entire career. I only wanted Tanner out of the GC scene specifically. He didn't respect women. And he didn't respect my coming out as non-binary. So I thought that
The plot thickens. The plot thickens. Yeah, I'm trying my best to be as objective as I can and treat every angle of this fairly. But that non-binary comment has completely shifted my perspective, as I'm notoriously anti non-binary now. No, I'm just messing around. I'm just a joke, okay? Yeah, I think yeah, it's what we sort of just said, right? Like she has interpreted this in the worst possible way. Now, the way that she's stating this here, the fact that she's stating it so openly, from her perspective, she sees this as like a reasonable action, right? Because otherwise, like, if you thought you'd done something wrong, you wouldn't say it openly. You try and obfuscate it in some way, right? it's quite clear that she sees this as rational and reasonable, but everyone that isn't in her headspace is looking at this and going, oh my God, what an insane thing to say to someone, because it sounds like fucking blackmail, you know, like some sort of emotional blackmail aspect. You must stay in this call with me and make me feel better, you know, or you need to quit and whatever the other fucking thing was. Like, it sounds like she's making this kind of ultimatum that could end up with him losing his job and losing his career and whatnot.
That in my mind, I could create a division between GC and Tanner's entire casting career, because it was never my goal to have him fired completely from everything. I just wanted to not see him on broadcast, because this was happening during GC2, and every time during
also this not wanting to see him on broadcast, you know, you're going to have to put the pieces in to think, oh, well, that's because of the alleged assault. But when you split up with someone, sometimes you just don't want to see your ex because you don't want to see your ex, because it's, you know, not pleasant to see your ex, you know, doing stuff generally, you know. I'm sure we've all been there, right? We've all been there where we've got an ex and you've got to see them somewhat. And yeah, it's annoying and you don't like it. It's an unpleasant experience. So is it that? Is that the reason that she maybe feels that way? Like, there's clearly a lot of twisted up emotions in all of this. And I don't think she's like a liar, but it feels like there's a lot of twisted emotions that have ended with her making this allegation, which has ended to this guy losing his career, well, presumably, or whatever you call it, you know? What is she lying about? I mean, she is saying openly, I gave him an ultimatum, which sounds like blackmail, you know?
one, I saw his face, I had a panic attack. And my poor coach and my poor teammates, who are actually some of them are my current teammates, watched me lose my shit before every big game that we played in. And on day 2, I submitted my report. I submitted a document to Knights that I will be posting to Twitter if Knights lets me, because I have no desire to drag Knights through this bullshit too. I mean, I guess Tanner already is. I'll ask anyways. There's essentially a document talking about how Tanner treated 3 people rather shittily back to back. Some of it has apparently been misinformed from one of the people, but the other 2 still stand. And Tanner was fired from Knights following my report. We originally thought that Tanner was only blocked from GC.
So yeah, now we're talking about him being shitty to other people. Like, what does that look like exactly? Also, here's the other thing as well. Just to you know, speak against rape for just a second. Okay, guys, let's just hold the phone on something. I'm wondering if the reason he was let go was not even necessarily because of the rape. Possibly, we'd need to look at the statement and whatnot, I guess. But there's a statement here where he talks about them saying you shouldn't get involved with people in the workplace or something like that. There was an investigation. Evidence was submitted on both sides, and I received the bad news with, this is why you don't have a relationship where you work. Okay. So the riot thing sounds like it's because of the rape. But this, like, is it the rape, or is it that they're worried about him having multiple relationships with various people that he's working alongside? Sure, yeah, I think the riot thing is because of the rape. That sounds like it's because of the rape allegation. I don't really understand what the setup is. So Riot make the League of Legends, right? And they wouldn't... Well, no, they make Valorant, sorry. And they wouldn't work with him on what basis? What does that mean? Yeah, like, yeah, okay. Oh, you're saying... Right. This is badly worded. I don't understand. Is he claiming that he got let go because he was accused of rape? But then there's a statement here that suggests it's because they had multiple relationships with different, or a relationship with someone in the workplace. And it sounds like there's other people that also he's had relationships with. I think we probably need to see something from the Knights or Riot for more clarity on what exactly happened and what decision making there was that led to them letting them go. Okay, look, little ball of purr. Okay, I'm liking this. This looks like it could have some legs. Don't have relationships at work because if they accuse you, we have to fire you to protect ourselves. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I think I'm going to accept that for now. That could be it. It's like a fusion of both. Well, it's not to say it's fine. I'm not saying it's fine for employees to control your relationships. But, you know, if there's something that comes up and you are having, you know, repeated relationships with people within the industry, then they might look negatively upon that. Not saying it's right, but it might have had an impact in their decision. I'm just throwing things out there. I don't know for sure. Anyway, let's continue with this. As frustrating as it is to listen to.
I'm sorry, this is hard. Here's the part that I don't understand. And here's the part that I could be wrong in this entire thing.
Oh no.
I spent 2 months trying to convince the person who was my partner to heal my way through a sexual assault. And it became clear over the last 9 months, inclusive, that I wasn't a person to them. There was no empathy ever. And anytime I had a problem, it was always about how it made him feel. So when we break up, and we get a 55-second clip of a 3-hour conversation like this that makes me look like an absolutely unhinged maniac, I gave Tanner 3 options. I said, you talk through this, you give me closure because you've never done it in the last 2 months of a relationship that I was trying to, and now you're walking away instead of solving the problem that you created, or at least treating me decently. I report you to Knights because I have enough screenshots that would back my point up, and I wouldn't be accused of somebody lying about sexual assault because we talked about it briefly over Discord. Most of our conversations on Snapchat, I don't have all of them, neither does he. But after we started fighting, we both started painstakingly recording all of our conversations. So as soon as I post this video, I'll start cutting them up. I might just publish all of them in their entirety online because I have no interest in going through and cutting to see if I need anything removed because it just proves my side of the story. So forgive me for the 55-second clip.
I feel like I'm constantly, like, there's a little bit more to see. Like, everything I've seen so far, I feel has led me to a pretty reasonable idea about what's going on. But then it's like, oh, no, there's these messages, and oh, there's more of the call. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see what's there. Let's see what's what. But that clip does sound really bad. I thought it might be cut out of context, so that could be something to look at. These text messages sound like they could be damning. But, yeah, it's just the way she's explained it doesn't sound like sexual assault. Like, that's the problem for me.
Coming off as a blackmailer and saying that I'm going to ruin his 7-year-old's life.
So, okay, the claim of sexual assault is that they were having sex, consensual sex. She disassociated. He didn't notice and he continued. and then he asked if he could ejaculate on her breasts. And she didn't continue to explain further beyond that. Okay, that's the claim of the sexual assault. And the shower thing is that she'd said previously she doesn't want to do anal. And he had been very pushy and joked about it and pushed for it in the shower. She felt uncomfortable. So she'd gotten out of the shower. So that is what is claimed as the axe, if you like. And further to the shower incident, he said basically that he was joking and he'd be able to make that joke with someone who doesn't have trauma. So that's what he's done that's being called sexual assault. I think the first thing I explained is what the sexual assault is supposed to be. But I personally don't see that as sexual assault. That sounds like a very excessive way of presenting that. Sounds like at worst it was a bad sexual encounter with miscommunication and obviously him making like a shitty joke and being pushy, right? That's how I would kind of interpret that. But again, we'll see if there's anything more that gives kind of credence to kind of her side. But you know, the fact this guy has had consequence for this, unless it is purely off the back of like having some rules about having relationships where he works, maybe, doesn't really sit right with me. Especially when, you know, she hasn't gone to the police or something like that. I guess the thing I'm thinking though is does this mean he's out of the industry? Like, is he shut out of the industry completely? Like, how does that work for him? I don't know enough about Valorant.
Because the only reason that I did not go to nights between that clip and the 2 weeks leading up into the second day of GC2 is because he had a 7-year-old to take care of. And he used the 7-year-old as a shield against me reporting him, saying that if you report me, I won't have a job and I won't have a way to feed my 7-year-old. So the reason that I couldn't get closure for my sexual assault and talk to my partner, and then when we broke up, and then I couldn't report him to nights, is because of his 7-year-old. And what do you do when there's a 7-year-old caught in the crossfire? You know?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? Because what he's saying is true. The report likely would have a very negative impact on his life. But fearing that isn't necessarily indicative that like she's telling the truth. It's just true as they've taken it on the back of an allegation alone, seemingly, right? And also coming back to the fact that it doesn't sound like a sexual assault that's been described either. Yeah, I'm not really seeing this one personally
all I wanted
as a
was to be
sexual
seen as a
assault.
person. And I tried so hard to be seen as a person that I went back to this toxic relationship more times than I should have. I dragged friends through this with me. This is the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my life.
Okay. So she went back repeatedly to this guy as well.
But all I ask is that give me the day to figure out how to put...
Oh, sorry. Right. She's not talking about Sam Pepper. I've got the wrong stream title. Fuck! I realised I'm quite a big fuck up. I'm sorry. That's my bad. This isn't against Sam Pepper. I forgot to change the stream title. This has nothing to do with Sam Pepper. This has nothing to do with Sam Pepper. Okay? I fucked up. I should have changed the stream title and I forgot. I'm the one that's farming accidentally. I accidentally farmed the rape review. Okay? Right. Who are they accusing? Valorant Caster Tanner Metro. There we go. Oh my god, that's so funny. Imagine if you tuned in halfway through, you'd be like, what? Sam Pepper? What the fuck? My apologies. It's actually a big mistake that I shouldn't have made, and I'm very apologetic for it, okay? I'm fucked up there. Everyone clear? This isn't about Sam Pepper. This is about someone else called Tanner Metro, okay? Okay, okay, look, everyone knows now, okay? I fucked up. I made a mistake. Okay, let's just get over it and continue, okay?
Post 15 gigabytes of recorded conversations. Put together a timeline because I didn't realize we were going on a smear campaign of a 55-second clip. All I ask is to not diminish what I went through. Being sexually assaulted by my partner and trying to cheat the healing process and make it work. And lashing out when I'm being pushed away. I'll include trigger warnings for this video. I'll have trigger warnings for everything. There are pretty much... The trigger warnings are massive. So if you are not in the good enough mental space to deal with any of this at this point, I would suggest you either block me for a little bit, because I'd rather you block than have to destroy your own mental health by seeing any of this. When I submitted the report...
This is the video if you want it.
I asked that it didn't go up to Riot. And I don't hate that it went up to Riot at this point, because this person quickly became dangerous. And
Dangerous? How
nice
so?
some sort of override that reports have to be sent to Riot if it gets big enough or something. But Tanner had all of these clips and screenshots before the report was sent. And Tanner and I tried again after the report closed. Tanner got the news that he, quote unquote, was fired from nights because this is why you don't have a relationship where you work. And Tanner came back to me with no contact for me. And I went through even more abuse and manipulation after that.
Okay, so we're going to need to see some of this, right? Like, we can't just take this as read, especially with the characterization of events so far. There must be screenshots or there must be something. There must be something, you know, to see on this. We can't just fucking take a word for it.
Because we figured out in real time that he was being fired from everything, not from GC.
Okay, so he was fired from everything. Now
This clip that he had submitted is a smear campaign to try and ruin my word. And because I look like a villain in this clip reacting, that I wasn't, that I'm lying about being sexually assaulted. And I think the line that he's forgetting, and I wish I had this one phone call recorded, is that he didn't differentiate between rape and sexual assault. Because in his statement, he's saying that the sex was consensual. And I think what people miss, I say this line, is that consent can be removed at any time. And that...
Yes, and if you remove consent, you need to state that that's happening. You can't assume the person knows. You need to say clearly, stop, whatever, right? That is, yeah, that's not a retroactive concept that you can apply in a situation where you didn't retract consent in the moment. Based on her description of this, she said she disassociated and he didn't realize. And this idea that he should have realized, like maybe he should have realized, but if he didn't and you didn't say anything, you can't expect the man to know and to take action accordingly.
And that's just how it is. You don't... There's a stigma of blue balls, and there's a stigma of everything else. But consent can be removed at any time. And I removed consent because I was in pain. And he mistook my it's okay for forgiving him for putting me in pain to continuing to have sex. We have.
I mean, you know. Wait, is that the same? I thought she said about this. Oh, she said that she disassociated, did she? In any case, if you're saying it's okay, that could be interpreted a multitude of ways. And unfortunately, it was probably a bad experience for you. But, like, of course, you've got to be more clear. Because if someone says it's okay, generally speaking, that's going to be interpreted as, you know, proceed with caution. And that's not to say it wasn't bad for her. I'm sure it was. But to then retroactively claim that sexual assault is insane and completely unreasonable, you know, for the guy. I mean, this guy now, we got clarity, though, I guess, that he's gone from everything over what boils down to a misunderstanding at an opportune moment during sex. This is not looking good. Let's put it that way. Good Lord. And also this clip of her, I hope she's got some context because, you know, with everything that's being said, that clip sounds very fucking bad against her.
Had previous conversations. And I said no. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry this is going on Twitter. This is a very messy statement. This is not the last statement I'll be making. I just did not want to be the one to shoot first. I did not react very professionally when we were going through all of this in real time. I heard that people at the pit LAN overheard me talking about Tanner poorly. And Tanner texted me to ask me to stop when I was talking too loudly about him at LAN. I don't know if this is true or if he just got it from a direct source. But I apologize for my unprofessional behavior. I should not have been talking poorly as my way of healing and navigating through this. That is not correct of me.
Okay, so let's finish this and then go to the Twitter statement.
I have a smaller personal statement prepared for people that I trust, or like at this point I don't even care. If you want to see it, I'll send it. But yeah, I'm gonna go shower. I just woke up to this, so I'm gonna go shower. I'm gonna go put myself together because I've prioritized this mess enough in the last 6 months. So just please forgive me for responding in an hour. And I'll attach all the screenshots and the videos and God, everything that he put me through. There is also a more recent when we tried to get back together after Revoke. He was here in person and did something else. I don't know if I'll talk about it because it's not in this message. And it is far harder to admit than just saying you were sexually assaulted. So if he does beat me to coming out about that story, forgive me because I don't have the bravery to talk about it right now. That one's a little bit too fresh. So I'm not trying to withhold any information. I just don't want to talk about that one situation.
Riddles?
Okay.
Like,
but yeah, I'm gonna go shower.
for God's sake, we need more information.
Twitter, as a YouTuber,
That's the only thing that could save you.
I'll sort through the clips. I'll sort through the screenshots. I'll probably just go live later today and talk about it or something insane. But yeah. I'm sorry for that clip. I'm really sorry. That is the worst. That is the worst I think I've ever been because I was scared. So.
Let me listen to this clip again.
I'm no longer being friends with the person I was friends with. Now I'm kind of being forced to be friends with the person who's blackmailing me and threatening me, and that's like not something that I want to do.
Okay, so if you say that I'm blackmailing you or threatening you one more time, when I'm literally expending a lot of my energy to try and not ruin your 7-year-old's life, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
I'm
Where's the rest of the call? Because on the one hand, I'm thinking he's not shared enough context, but why has she not shared more if she's got the fucking call? And now she's doing this sob story on stream, and then in that clip, she is very fucking certain of what's what, isn't she?
want to do.
Okay, so if you say that I'm blackmailing you or threatening you one more time, when I'm literally expending a lot of my energy to try and not ruin your 7-year-old's life, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
I'm no
Okay. And also, little spoiler alert, the reason I'm a bit perturbed is because I've just had a little look at this tweet, which I'll go over now. Right. Trigger warning for SA and abuse manipulation. I believe that Tanner Metro waited a day to post his statement until I was finished with GC3, and for that I thank him. That's always been how it's been, though. Tanner is an amazing person. We share interests. He was my partner by choice, obviously, as good in him. However, when he sexually assaulted me, I formed a trauma bond with him. I kept returning even when I shouldn't have, seeking healing and closure from the very source. Okay. Trauma bond is like psychology speak, and it's the idea that, you know, you form a very strong bond with someone via trauma that is unhealthy for you. I think. Oh, you can't trauma bond with the person who gave you trauma. Oh, but I think she might be referring to trauma bonding with him from this previous undisclosed thing, no? I don't fucking know what it means. I don't know all this psychology speak. I've got no clue what's going on. Listen, I'm fucking trying to figure this out live, okay? I don't know what the fuck is happening right now. Okay. Anyway, let's not get bogged down in trauma bonding, okay? Let's just get through this. Oh. Well, if that's the case and that's not how it works, it's stupid. But I don't know enough about it. Anyway, let's read through the statement. Okay. So far, I am got a lot of skepticism about this woman. She's, pouring it on thick in this call. She's claiming that clip was taken out of context. Something I can, get on board with because I said that right at the start. But then in the clip, I'm listening back and she sounds quite vicious in the way that she's talking. And now she's trying to present herself as this kind of injured, like, little lamb. Let's keep reading it anyway and see what she says. And then I've already looked ahead and there's something at the end. I won't say any more, but you'll see. I have panic attacks from previous trauma when I'm surprised by pain during sex. We had a previous conversation that if I was ever in pain and expressed it, we needed to stop because I would shut down or have a panic attack. By me saying that I was hurting, directly in his statement, I'm expressing a no. But you're not, are you? You're not stating a no. This is why you have safety words with BDSM, because you need a way of explicitly, expressly saying no. Uncertainty is not going to work. Continuing having sex with a face-down, unresponsive person is definitely not normal behavior. This is sexual assault. This is borderline something worse. After Tanner said, babe, can I finish on your boobs? And then we rolled over and went to sleep, where I quietly cried for an hour. I bought a $500 red-eye flight to leave the next day. I have documentation of this flight. Let's continue. After Tanner sexually assaulted me and I confronted him, he used his 7-year-old as a shield. He said that if I reported what happened, he'd lose his job and income and it would ruin his kid's life. The problem with this is this is the issue. Could be that, yes, that's because he's trying to hide a rape, but it could also just be, if you say something about me, it's likely to be believed and I'm going to lose my job, even though that's unreasonable. I bought into that framing, and I tried to find alternatives to reporting him to protect his kids. I asked if he'd voluntarily withdraw from GC events so I wouldn't be forced to see his face in the sea, and he refused. Then I tried to work through it with him privately so I could come to terms with what happened without damaging his reputation. He initially agreed to that, but then accused me of blackmailing him into staying involved with my healing process. That's what's happening in the clip. 50 seconds of a 4-hour conversation, which apparently she's recorded and should be able to release in full. Maybe there's stuff to censor, so it needs to be edited. But, you know, there needs to be much more of that call released so we can fully understand the context of what's happening. And if what she's saying is true, we should be able to hear clear as day these things being said. And then that's obviously going to look much worse on him. Tanner convinced me that if I was honest with anyone about what happened, I'd be ruining his kid's life, and that if I tried to work through it privately with him, that I was engaging in blackmail. The only option he thought was acceptable was me suffering in silence while he faced no consequences. If I sounded like the villain in that 15-second clip from a 3-hour conversation, it's because he convinced me I was the villain here. So again, releasing the call should make that obvious. We should be able to listen to that and interpret it accordingly. I privately reported Tanner in the correct channels after what happened. I paused the report for a week because it looked like we reached an arranged agreement to talk it out and give me the closure that worked for me, however strange it was. Overnight, he talked to his friends and changed his mind. I submitted the report. Okay, wait. I debated posting screenshots, nasty cut-up clips, and focusing on winning this interaction, but I realised that there is truly nothing to be gained from any of this, except my personal life and most embarrassing moments are plastered on screens for everyone to see, and Tanner is further from a casting job. Nobody wins here. So she's not going to release it then? What the actual fuck? She was talking about releasing it in the video, and now she's saying she's not going to release it because it's bad for everyone. It's actually, like, worse to not release it because you look like you're not being upfront and honest about what's going on. Especially with what we look at in a sec, which, you know, we'll see. You can see what you think. That's very suspicious. So she's now saying she's not going to release anything because it's her personal life being put out on display. Sam Pepper is not involved in this, okay? I see the comments, I see the quote tweets. I'm fighting to be heard against bigger names. I did not use sexual assault allegations to get back at my ex. I could have been public about this. I could have, well, she wasn't public about it, but she got him fired from every job, all of his job. So, you know, this idea, I didn't go public. No, you didn't, but you took an action which resulted in him getting removed from this esports casting thing. I could have shot first and had a much bigger reaction, but I was terrified and embarrassed. I tried to hide from the very details in his statement. I've been reliving this over and over for the past few months. In a way, with this all being public, brings its own form of closure. I don't have to pretend anymore. This is the entirety... Okay. So we're not going to get any further information to back up what she's saying. From the sounds of it, then. Without further context, you know, that clip's pretty damning. Like, you would have thought she'd want to release more info about it. Anyway, this is the entirety of what I'll be saying on this because I've let this hang over my head for the past 3 months, trying to cheat the healing process again and again. I accept that I was sexually assaulted by Tanner Metro. I accept that the entire internet will know this happened to me and see me differently, and I accept this will 100% affect any way I choose to remain in the gaming industry. But I cannot leave. I let him win for 3 months with my silence and half-truths and privacy. I'll be streaming tonight, competing tomorrow. This does not sound like someone who has got lots of information that will expose the truth of what happened. Right? Like, I don't know. She's immediately saying, I'm not going to release anything else. This is going to be my only statement on it. She said she's got further context related to the clip, but doesn't want to release it. This statement, my truth, will probably result in more public posts and screenshots. I respectfully ask you not to. You have posted your side. I've posted mine, and no, you haven't. You've posted what you said happened, and we'll see in a sec. One screenshot. Anyway, and let the friends and people you see this decide who they wish to associate with, or none at all, because this is exhausting. But let it go and let us both heal. As for anyone quote tweeting, commenting, or standing by Tanner's side without hearing mine, I hold nothing against you. Details have been withheld or left out at their convenience. I hope my statement adds a little more clarity if possible, but I'm moving on. It's added no clarity at all. You claim to have a bunch of screenshots, messages, further clips of the call that you could share, and I'm not, unless I'm missing something, I'm not seeing any of that anywhere. All I ever wanted was Tanner to leave the GC scene so I wouldn't have to be reminded every single day of being sexually assaulted by him. You don't have to believe me, you don't have to support me. Just understand I did not lie or use SA allegations to my advantage. I was terrified and hurt person when that clip was recorded. If you made it this far, thank you for reading. The DMs checking in and supporting has helped me feel like a human again. Okay. This sole screenshot I will attach. Knowing you did wrong, but changing your story for the public is not fair. I've already seen this, so I looked ahead already. But let's look at it. So this is the one piece of information she's actually releasing. If she didn't say it was bad, it must not have been bad, which is what I tell myself so I don't feel like such a piece of shit. This could mean about fucking 10 different things. What the actual fuck is this? What? This is a fucking Rorschach test, and you see what you want to see, basically. This could mean lots of different things, but what isn't in here is any hard proof or evidence that he's admitting or accepting that he's sexually assaulted or raped someone. If she didn't say it was bad, it must not have been bad, which is what I tell myself so I don't feel like such a piece of shit. This could be him recognizing he's engaged in some shitty actions, but not necessarily sexual assault. This is disgusting that people are just believing this. And she's talking about all this other stuff that she's got and she can put out there, and we're going to get none of it. The DMs of support are literally reaching the hundreds at this point. I'm responding to as many as I can. The poster admits to SA and still people defend them. That's scary as fuck. What? Where's he admitted to SA? Where? Where? My streams and content may be a little subdued while I come to terms with intimate details from my private life posted publicly without my consent. I'll be okay. Can't let them beat me down. Okay, so what else is this? Good morning, Twitter. The day I've been dreading for a long time is finally here, and I'm sorry that we're about to drag all of you through it. You're about to hear a couple of the most disrespectful and embarrassing moments of my life, and there's nothing I can do. Well, that's well and good. And I'm willing to accept that could be out of context, and I think he should have shared more context. Okay? But without any more context that you're not providing, that you say you've got, like, why would you not be sharing a clip showing this other stuff you're talking about? Why are you not pushing back on this clip which sounds really fucking bad for you. A very messy one-take response to the out-of-context clip. I need to shower and then I'll post my own recordings with more context. Not yet happened. I never pretended to be a perfect person through any of this, but I'm shocked that instead of full context, only a short clip of me talking about wanting to ruin a 7-year-old's life in the crossfire was used instead. I asked for private closure so that Tanner could continue to be able to work and provide us for his son. A 7-year-old should not get caught up in anything, even if it means I have to eat shit privately about SA. I just wanted closure, however I could get it. I asked Tanner to talk through the timeline for me of how we went through him essaying me to us breaking up because nothing was ever my fault. And none of that's been released. Unless I am missing some major tweet, it seems like she hasn't released it. I just asked that when he does post this side, I will respond with as many screenshots, recordings, and timelines, so the entire thing can be sorted through and you can reach your own conclusions. And then later she's gone on to say, I'm not doing any of that. Well, it's pointless. I'm just moving on. And she released one screenshot which doesn't show anything. As those of you who may have been around me the past few months know, I was lashing out and talking poorly and trying to fix what was far beyond the ability to patch over, and honestly put myself in dangerous situations over and over. I don't like the person I am when I'm scared, but I'll let him speak first publicly. This story is long, complicated, and extremely triggering, which is why I haven't posted everything I've survived. But I'll be sharing my story privately to those I trust and expanding to social media since I do not have the luxury of privacy anymore. I've given this man who took my dignity and self-worth my best attempt to work past this. They were not perfect because I was the most hurt and scared I've ever been in my life, but I won't hold back anything anymore. My DMs are open. The Discord is AyoEclipse of Twitter limits you. If a public statement is made, I'll release recording screenshots to Twitter. Happy GC Drama Day. Chud when male releases out of context clip, smiley face. I fucking said when I listened to that clip, the first thing I said was, it's a short clip. There might be more context, you fucking retard. Okay? But obviously, if she is criticizing the fucking short clip, and then she says she's going to release a bunch of stuff, okay? And then I look at it and she's released one screenshot, which is nothing. Then yeah, obviously I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Yes, I'm getting one guide. Yes, I am. Okay. I'm quickly changing my perspective to this is a very bogus allegation. The fact that she's bigged up having all this information and evidence to present to show that there's more context to that clip and then doesn't and acts like that's enough, I'm moving on, is extremely fucking suspicious. Which my gut instinct tells me that there isn't much more context and she is doing what we think she's doing in this clip. You know, and there's, yeah, I mean, you know,
I'm no longer being friends with the person I was friends with. Now I'm kind of being forced to be friends with the person who's blackmailing me and threatening me, and that's like not something that I want to do.
Okay, so if you say that I'm blackmailing you or threatening you one more time, when I'm literally expending a lot of my energy to try and not ruin your 7-year-old's life, I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
I'm no longer being...
So she claims it's out of context and she was scared and afraid, claims there's further context to share, and all she's done is share this, which is less context than the clip, even. We've got a one-sided conversation, one clipped screenshot of a message, which could be about literally anything. Even if you're only going to share one screenshot, why would you not share more of it to show more of what's going on? Why would you clip it so tightly so it's like literally one DM? Yeah, this is extremely fucking dubious from her now. I went from thinking, okay, well, maybe, you know, it was just literally she's traumatized and she's interpreting it in a certain way, but this is coming across as like malicious. Like, this feels malicious. Jesus. Good Lord. And, you know, why would you not release all of it? Why would you not go, yeah, that's a lie. He's broken me down. Here's the previous 10 minutes where he's badgering me, or whatever you need to release. If I was to shoot from the hip, okay, I would say that I think what might have happened here is she's put a little bit out. I've never been raped, okay? She's put a little bit out and she's realised she's getting this great response. And so she's not going to bother with anything else because it's done enough and everyone just believes her because hashtag believe women, right? Why would you go from saying, I've got all this stuff to show you that shows how it's bad and wrong, to all of a sudden going, no, I'm actually not going to do that. And I'm just going to release one message and that's it. Doesn't make any fucking sense, does it? Let's make it make sense. Well, she has won, hasn't she? But that's only because society is so brutally unfair. You know, there's the fact that she went back to him repeatedly, explained away by this trauma bonding explanation. And the best actual piece of, like, evidence we have is not that good because it's a 30-second clip. But it's a clip of a conversation where it sounds like she is trying to fucking blackmail him. Without further context, that's all you can really say about that clip. I don't believe women. I do not believe women automatically. I never do. But yeah, this is all very It doesn't make sense because you would socialise without a cell phone glued to your face. All the Zoomer stuff is tiresome because they never learned to socialise and COVID made it so much worse. For Jesus Christ's sakes, may God save everyone, including Tom Holland and Zendaya, away from my ex-girlfriend, Carrie Dean Brown, and her whole entire family members. Adam, are you okay, mate? What's going on? So woke agenda hasn't brainwashed you yet? No. Oh, you retracted it. No, I'm not brainwashed. Don't worry. Yeah, and the thing is as well, regardless of all this other nonsense that's happening, if you go back to the original claim that's made, that is not sexual assault. That downplays what sexual assault is to claim what happened is sexual assault. You know? And this idea of consent can be revoked at any time. It was a sexual miscommunication. Like, yeah, I officially declare I don't know. I think that at the very least she overstated and embellished because of trauma she's experienced. Although there isn't like 100% evidence for it, it seems likely that she was trying to blackmail him with this via that clip until she releases more information, which might change her mind on that. And yeah, it's extremely suspicious that she initially said she's got a lot of information to release that will clarify her side and make people see her side more, only to completely change her mind and not release any of it except for one screenshot of a single message, which could be interpreted in a multitude of ways. But yeah, the whole point of revoking consent is you do it at the time. You don't do it later. You can't go, oh, revoking. No, you need to say clearly at the time, stop. And if they continue, then that could potentially constitute sexual assault or rape. But unless you say no clearly, they're not going to know. God, it's so ridiculous. And everyone is jumping on board with this. No one is scrutinizing this person's story. No one, well, people will be, but like people in the replies are not going, hang on a minute. You said that you were going to release stuff. No, you're not. Like, what the fuck is that about? Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, until more information comes out, which doesn't seem particularly likely at this point, there's not really much more to say about this.